Okay, this is the follow-up to part one, talking about the Hungarian Grand Prix. What this video is going to consist of is going through clips, audio clips from the Grand Prix, which demonstrate Max Verstappen and Martin Brundle. And they also demonstrate the narrative created by F1 TV. So a lot of clips to go through. It's going to be a little bit rudimentary because the clips I've not had time to go through and clip them exactly to what they need to be, but bear with me and you'll get all the main points that you need to get from these clips. So as you can see from that screen of my recent recordings, all these black boxes are the screen recordings I took during that Hungarian Grand Prix, and these ones here are of the interviews, and we're going to go through the majority of those. Okay, first one. We're talking about this first lap, first corner incident whereby Max Verstappen has gone off the track. All right, so let's listen to what the commentary is saying.
He did avoid his teammate on the inside. I can't see any way that he intentionally drove Max Verstappen off the circuit. He certainly didn't turn left. He was just avoiding.
So he's talking about Norris's conduct there.
As you said, Martin, his teammate on the inside, which, to be fair, Max probably wouldn't have seen.
And Max wouldn't have seen what was happened, so yeah, it's not Max's fault that Max got pushed off either, because Lando had to avoid what Oscar was doing. Not Max's fault, but anyway, that's not the point. The point is coming to this.
And as a result of giving that place back, the stewards have decided no further action for Max Verstappen.
Okay, so you can just drive people off the track then.
Max Verstappen. Okay, you can just drive people off the track then, right? Yeah, do you remember in 2021, Max? Do you remember Imola, chicane, yeah, where you just drove Lewis Hamilton off the track? Monza, chicane, you know, earlier in the race, before you ended up on Lewis Hamilton's head, you drove Lewis Hamilton off the track at chicane. Do you remember Brazil 2021, where you drove Lewis Hamilton into downtown Interlagos? You know what I mean? That was obscene. You can just drive people off the track then. Yeah, because that's what you did. Saudi 2021, where you drove him off the track, turn one. Abu Dhabi 2021, first lap. Where did you leave him to be on the track? Oh, so you drove him off the track there. But Max, now the victim of it.
Then you can tell the FIA that's how we're going to race from now onwards.
You can tell the FIA that's how we're going to race from now onwards, Max. So, this is gaslighting. This is somebody that's a perpetrator, right? This is somebody that is what they do. When it happens to them, they're the ones that have a problem about it. They're the ones that's like, oh, that's unacceptable. That you can't do that to me. You can't do that to me. Oh, if you're going to do that to me, that's how it's going to be from now on then. You've always done it.
Just driving people off the road.
Well, that's Max.
Just driving people off the road. What can you say about that? Well, it's just ridiculous. What we're getting presented with is the opposite of truth. It's just disgusting that people are trying to validate their conduct, validate their actions, and just use lies to do so. You know, we've all got eyes, we can all see what's been going on, and yet that is being presented to us. And why is nobody calling it out? Why is nobody in commentary say, well, hang on a minute, we've got countless examples of you doing this, Max, and now this has happened, not in the same way that you run other people off track, but you've now found yourself ran out of room, okay, due to crowding on the track, due to it being the first corner, because that can happen, right, and you don't like it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Verstappen's view, and he sounds a bit het up and very tetchy and a little bit angry at what has happened there. But as Ant said, Martin, he hasn't seen what was happening on the inside, and maybe on reflection he might change his mind once he does see that. What he has got now is DRS to try and close in on Lando Norris down the main straight.
He did avoid his teammate on the inside. I can't see any way that he intended.
So, you know, the commentary there. Oh, he does sound a little bit het up. But maybe when he realises what else was going on, maybe he'll change his mind. Nobody calls him out, do they? They just validate him. Not one commentator looks at Max Verstappen and says, "What is this thing? Who does this guy think he is?" You know, he's gobbing off. He's trying to always pin the blame on everybody else, and yet he does that all of the time. Who says that about him? Why does every commentator in the sport go, "Oh, Max Verstappen, the best thing you've ever seen"? They're all the same. Now, there's no authenticity. If you get authentic people talking about this, and that's the majority of us that are watching this, we can all identify it this way. Nobody speaks the way that we see it. Bizarre, isn't it? And then you get the fluff YouTube channels when they're all copying the Sky Sports narrative with the, "Oh yeah, Max is a little bit on the edge, he's a bit aggressive, but that's him, isn't it? That's just hard racing. That's just Max. That's part of his genius." All validating him, all boosting him. It's just, yeah, it makes me sick, to tell you the truth. Anyway, we'll move on to the next clip. So let's see what this one's about.
Not much of a braking zone into two, and Max has gone a little bit deep into the corner,
Yeah,
to say the least.
He's driving in a very aggressive fashion there, and that's not a criticism, that's by going deep into...
Oh, he's driving in a very aggressive fashion, but that's not a criticism. You can never criticise Max. It's not a criticism.
That he is desperate to try and get past Lando Norris and using an aggressive style to try and do that. Not unfair, just aggressive.
Not unfair, just aggressive.
Right, here's the start. Norris tries to cut off his teammate, gets a great getaway, but then Piastri is there and he has to back out.
And then Verstappen's got the ideal, the optimum racing line down.
Oh, Verstappen's got the optimum line, because Verstappen always gets the optimum line, because he's so good.
On the outside, and tries to take it around there. I mean, there's no way that Norris was able to, was turning into him. I wondered if there was also an argument whether Hamilton had been disadvantaged by that, but I don't believe he did. He was.
I wonder if there's an argument that Hamilton was disadvantaged by Verstappen, allowing Norris to get back at Hamilton, because, yeah, that is what happened. I wonder if there is an argument for that, says Brundle, but no, Hamilton wasn't. So how did Norris just get straight back at him then? Was it because Hamilton had to kind of just ease out of it because Verstappen got in his way, having gone off track? No, but I don't think he did, says Brundle.
Yeah, he did well, Lewis, to back out before any contact was made.
Oh, so he did have to back out, didn't he? Yeah.
We're riding on board with Lando Norris.
But Brundle doesn't think that was an issue. Okay, Brundle doesn't think that it caused Lewis any problems, the fact that he had to back out. Next one. Here we go.
What helped enormously then is because Max and Lewis got together towards the outside of turn two, it at least allowed Norris to be behind him on the racetrack. Otherwise, he'd have had to let Hamilton through as well.
Got to say, super move by Oscar Piastri to get into the lead. The man who's only led 7 Grand Prix laps in his racing career before.
What helped enormously then is because Max and Lewis got together towards the outside of turn.
Max and Lewis got together, not Max kind of impacted Lewis due to his re-entry onto the track and kind of balking Lewis. It's getting together.
And two, it at least allowed Norris to be behind him on the racetrack. Otherwise, he'd have had to let Hamilton through as well.
There you go. But like I said in the previous video, other drivers can have their race impacted by somebody committing an infringement, and yet there is no penalty for that. Okay, this is something that needs to be addressed. Next video. I heard this, right? And I'll tell you what made me go, here we go again.
Table.
Perez, of course, the only man to be last at the end of the first lap and go on to win a Grand Prix, the Sakir Grand Prix back in 2020.
The Sakir Grand Prix back in 2020. You see, these guys have got like an encyclopedic knowledge of the history of the sport. Yeah, they know. They know that back in 2020, the Sakir Grand Prix, where Perez was last at the end of lap one but went on to win it. Yeah, do you remember at that race where there was a safety car incident, lads, and there were lapped cars? And how long will they wait? And will they release their lapped cars? You forgot about how these things work when you got to Abu Dhabi 2021. But back in Sakhir, right, Michael Massey, not only did he release the cars that had been lapped, like he does every time, and like Charlie Whiting did before him in every race since 2012 when these rules were reintroduced. Okay, not only did Michael Massey release them, not only did Michael Massey perform that mandatory further lap of the safety car, he kept that safety car on track for a further lap to ensure that those released cars fully caught the back of the pack before he resumed racing, to ensure sporting fairness to all competitors, because all competitors' races were impacted by an incident which caused the deployment of the safety car to have to deal with the incident. So you can tell us your lovely statistic about Sakir 2020, but you forgot the safety car rules and what they're all about in 2021 Abu Dhabi. And you must have forgotten the 2019 Brazilian Grand Prix where he did the same. 2 laps of the safety car after he released the lap cars. I think it was Spain 2019 where he did the same. 2 laps of the safety car. This is Michael Massey, the guy that went into this steward's appeal with Gary Connolly there and presenting, oh yeah, well, the purpose of releasing the lap cars is so they don't interfere with the races between the leaders. Well, there's 3 examples, and the 4th is Eiffel 2020, where he again performed 2 laps of that safety car beyond the lap that those lapped cars were released on. 4 examples of Michael Massey using 15.3, his overriding discretion, his overriding authority over the use of that safety car on the grounds of sporting fairness to enable those released cars the opportunity of making it around and catching the back of the pack. But we get to 2021 Abu Dhabi. Oh, none of us know. None of us know. Is he going to release the lapped cars? Are we going to go racing with lapped cars in situ, which you're not allowed to do and haven't been allowed to do since 2012? And if he does release them, which he may not, they might get blue flags. This could happen, that could happen, anything could happen. What's going to happen? Be on the edge of your seats, boys and girls. It's all crazy. It's all confusing. Nobody knows. Right, all of that. It's all right. I've got myself confused now. I don't even know what I'm saying. But in 2021, the commentators of the sport couldn't identify that. Rather strange, isn't it? It's rather strange. Anyway, next clip. Brundle again.
So, yeah, as I said though, is Lewis, Ted says he's good at spending his tyre budget, but let's see. He's really taken a lot of energy out of those hard compound tyres in the first few laps, but give him a couple of laps at this pace and he'll be within the DRS 1 second range of Lando Norris, who definitely is struggling for a bit of absolute raw pace, is Norris, compared.
So, Brundle talking about Hamilton. Well, Ted says that Lewis is good at spending his tyre budget, but what would Ted know? You always got to remember this, right? Ted is cast as the village idiot in this whole presentation team. You look at the Sky Sports F1 presentation team, you've got the experts, the former F1 drivers, right? You've got the females there, and some of them are the former drivers, some of them aren't. You've got some of the male anchor presenters. Again, these are there for aesthetics, okay? You know that's the reality of the situation. The likes of Rosberg and Button, they're former world champions, former drivers, whatever. A lot of it is, when it's media related, TV related, it's aesthetics, okay? But then you've got Ted, right? The socks and sandals man, walking up and down the pitch, bumbling along, and then yeah. But this is the guy though that Ted says this, but that's just Ted saying it. We're the experts. back to Abu Dhabi 2021, right? Ted was the only one that went, oh, and they're saying in the pits there, Mercedes are outraged because they're saying that the safety car should have stayed out for another lap. And then all of the former drivers, all of the experts, oh, they just ride roughshod over that and dismiss it, don't they? Just dismiss it. Because Ted's easy to dismiss, all right? But anyway, Ted's saying that Lewis is good with his tyre budget, but Martin's saying, oh, but he's taken a lot out of these first few laps. We see later on in the race, Max coming out and blasting the first 3 or 4 laps on that set of medium tyres. And his race engineer going, oh, nice to see you took that easy. You didn't bring them in kind of slowly like we tried to advise you needs to happen so that you don't destroy them. Brundle doesn't say anything about that. You know, he always seems to like point the finger, shine the light on something that Lewis Hamilton might be doing, which might not be the best way of doing it. And yet, he doesn't when it comes to Max Verstappen. Next clip. Oh, actually, I'm just referring back to that last clip. As Lewis Hamilton was on that hard compound tyre and was making ground on Lando Norris, Martin has to highlight the fact that Norris seems to be suffering. So one of the reasons that Hamilton is catching him is because Norris is not going as fast. I mean, again, it's just undermining what Lewis is doing. It's just little things all the time that you just like, that's the spin you always want to put on this. Anyway, this is the next clip.
So here we go. Lewis covers him off, turns into the apex. As soon as he put any steering lock in, he locked his inside front wheel. That's so often.
Yeah, Lewis locked his inside front wheel there.
Happened. Verstappen will have DRS. He's going to sail down the outside on the optimum racing line.
Verstappen on the optimum racing line, sailing down the outside.
But he carries too much speed into the...
But he carries too much speed. Well, that's shit driving then, isn't it? If you carry too much speed, well, it's not good.
Corner, really dirty out there. And
it's dirty out there. Oh, yeah, that's the excuse then, isn't it? Oh, it's because of the dirt out there that causes the problem. Well, you've carried too much speed in.
Lewis Hamilton lives for another day in 3rd place.
And that's allowed Lewis Hamilton to live for another day. Because Max was on the optimum line and sailing past, but he carried too much speed, and the dirt meant that Lewis Hamilton lived for another day. Your commentary is dirt, Brundle. This is the presented hero. This is the lad that the teenage boys worship.
And while I say that,
A -5 brake pace, and the thing just doesn't turn. It's unbelievable.
Verstappen is clearly having an issue with the way his car is handling and the way this race is evolving today. He's already had to give 1 place back right at the start, which he didn't enjoy, and we've had several reports on the radio and feedback about just what he doesn't like about this car. And what?
So, typical, isn't it? Something's not going Max's way, and he has to kick off on the radio about it. Now, we've all got eyes. We can see the relative performance of each of these cars. Kids, Max isn't pedaling it, okay? He isn't like riding a bike and turning that crank over faster than everybody else. It's not his ability. All he has to do is put his foot down, okay? Press harder on that right pedal and that car goes faster. It's the car that gives it outright performance, right? He's not happy that he doesn't feel that that car's doing what he wants it to do. Well, who's set the car up? Who's done the right amount of testing in all the practice sessions to set the balance of that car up as best it can be for that track? But he's moaning about it, right? We can see how fast that car is relative to other cars. We can see it with our own eyes. When we're watching the Grand Prix, we can see those cars and how they move relative to one another and whether one is gaining on the other. Okay? That Red Bull is still a very quick car. Still a very quick car, and yet he is moaning about it. He's having a tantrum. He's kicking off. It's not his responsibility. It's not his fault. It's everybody else's fault. That's the kind of individual this guy is. Anyway, next clip. This is more filth from Brundle. This is Max and Lewis having a bit of battle. Do you remember a couple of Grand Prix? I think it was 2022 Monaco. Roadblock Alonso just kept Lewis behind him for the majority of the Grand Prix and just slowed himself down, left a massive gap between him and all the competitors before, but nobody could overtake him. And then, whatever year it was, it might have been last year, once again, Roadblock Alonso. Nobody can get around him. And how they describe Alonso, oh, this is incredible from Alonso. He's making that car as wide as it can possibly be, because that's his racecraft. What an amazing driver is Roadblock Alonso, right? What do you think Lewis is doing? Right? What do you think Lewis is doing? He knows the positions around that track where it's possible to make overtaking manoeuvres. And so what you do, you take a line, a defensive line, which makes it more challenging for anybody to perform an overtake on you. That's experience. That's a quality driver. Martin Brundle.
Still being that close, can't quite get the room to make a move into turn 4.
Max will be on the phone saying 2 moves to defend there.
So Brundle accuses Hamilton of 2 moves to defend, inciting the strap-on fanboy, making them believe, yeah, look at that, Lewis has made 2 moves, that's moving under. It's not at all. It's a lie. He vilifies Lewis Hamilton.
Up into turn 4, but Lewis is having to have 5 stabs at getting around a corner sometimes.
Again, critical of Lewis's driving style. Oh, he's having to get 5 stabs because he's clearly not handling his car very well. Well, could it be that the car's not handling that well? Max isn't happy with the handling of his car. Lewis isn't happy with the handling of his car, but Lewis is just getting on with the job and trying to do the best he can. Is he kicking off on the radio to his team? One guy is, one guy isn't.
Do you think there were 2 moves into turn 4?
Well, we'll have to see it again from the head-on angle, but Lewis was definitely making his car very wide.
Fernando still being that close, can't quite get the room to make a move into turn 4.
Max will be on the phone saying 2 moves to defend there. Up into turn 4, but Lewis is having to have 5 stabs at getting around a corner sometimes.
Do you think there were 2 moves into turn 4?
Well, we'll have to see it again from the head-on angle, but Lewis was definitely making his car very wide.
Fernando.
Just disgusting. So here we go with the next one.
Oh, it's fabulous. And you've got
Mode 9. Or press and hold the overtake.
Why mode 9?
Then press and hold the overtake, Max, if you're in mode 7. Thank you.
So if you're driving a car and you get given an instruction to change a mode, an engine setting, for example, whatever it might be referring to, your team is trying to give you an instruction that should benefit you, and rather than say, sorry, can you repeat, didn't get that, we get that blurted out from Verstappen. That's the turn of a human being he is. Okay? Gobbing off, no respect, but the kids are encouraged to look up to that. The kids are encouraged to think, yeah, that's an acceptable way of treating those around you, isn't it? Self-centered, narcissistic prick. That's who that guy is. Right, I am, in fact, I'll finish this clip and then probably what I'll do is shut this video down here and do the next one, because I know these take ages, so I don't want this to turn into an hour and a half epic.
Said it once, I'll say it again. He sounds like a man who could have done better with a better night's sleep last night, Max Verstappen. He's just sounding tetchy and irritable every time we hear him on the radio. But he is in a fight, and that might be having something to do with it, as well as this time Hamilton does pit.
Oh, but he is in a fight, and that might be having something to do with something with it. Yeah, because he might be having something to do with something with it. Yeah, because he doesn't like it when he's in a fight, because he doesn't know what to do. Because unless his car is supremely faster than everything else, he doesn't know how to get by the other cars, and he doesn't like that. We go on to clips where they talk about Max Verstappen being up all night sim racing. Well, if you have a issue with your blurred vision, and excuse me, if you have an issue with dizziness as a result of an injury that you supposedly sustained back at Silverstone 2021, then are you medically fit to race? And if you have to deal with medical conditions to be fit to race, do you think that it is responsible staying up till all hours, sim racing, playing computer games, right? When your profession, when your job is to be an elite athlete, an elite sportsman, preparing for what it is you're being paid to do. You know, being paid handsomely, earning what reported $75 million, including endorsements and sponsorship, to perform, to compete at the very highest level. And your preparation for that is staying up till whatever silly o'clock in the morning playing computer games. And that's the example that you want to set to this world. Oh, yeah, doesn't matter, does it? Doesn't matter. Anyway, like I say, that'll do on this video. I'll go through the other clips in the next one, just because I'm aware of people's time limitations, and sometimes we need to shorten these videos to bite-sized chunks. Thank you for your time.